I can take a 40,000-foot view of that, and part of the ways that I took a look at what's happening in terms of their educational strategy is look at how they staff. What I know about staffing is what? The number of people they have, for instance, the number of you as teachers, should be some sort of correlation between that and what? Enrollment. You know? There is a relationship there. And you expect that relationship to be what? Parallel, somewhat consistent. Okay? So I took a look and I said, okay, in 2005 you gained almost 100 kids, and so you eliminated about 45 staff people. I'm good with that. In 2006 you only increased about 25 kids, and so you gained, well actually you stayed about the same. You didn't gain anything. In 2007 you lost about, I read the numbers here, 80 kids, so you gained about 30 staff. In 2009, you gained about 150 kids, so you gained about 7 staff. At least it's going the same way. In 2010, you gained about 60 kids, so you decided to lose about 18 staff people. If there is a correlation here, it is purely random. In fact, this is what I call the teenage model of staffing. The red bar is the actual change in staffing. The blue bar takes a look at enrollment and says, okay, what would we expect? If the district just wants to stay consistent, what would we expect? That's the blue bar. You can see in almost every year they are what? Polar opposites. That's why I call it the teenage model, because I have a 17-year-old, and I know that he does exactly what? The opposite of what I tell him. Here it is. Problem is, while that's kind of funny, this wastes a lot of money. Because I'm not putting my staffing, my resources where it belongs. I'm sort of not planning, I'm just kind of doing it randomly. And when I don't plan, I waste money. I don't see a lot of strong planning in this district. Because I don't think you plan for this outcome. Well, maybe you plan for this outcome, but you know, not in the universe I live in. Here's the problem with that. When that staffing goes up and down, without any predictability in terms of relating to enrollment, what does that do to your quality of your education system? If it goes up and down, and if somebody's going, yeah, that's right, that's what it does. What does that do with the people who work here? Oh my God, what's going to happen to me next? The quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its staff. This school is no better and can be no better than the people who work here. So why would you allow that lack of planning to screw around with the most important investment that you have? That's the problem with that little merry-go-round. Is that you're walking around, particularly if you're younger, saying, oh my God, am I going to have a job next year? Or you get laid off. And once anybody gets laid off, they're always looking to go someplace else more secure. And think about what happens when you lay people off. It's the worst thing you can do in an educational system, because you're literally laying off your future. The people you have to rely on 10 or 15 years down the road. That comes from this roller coaster. Are there more effective uses of the district's resources that will promote student learning? First priority. And what's got to be the second priority right behind it? To attract, retain, and reward quality educators. The only way you get to one is get to the other. I don't know of any system that says you attract, retain, and reward quality educators by saying, listen, I want to give you less to have you work more and get a better outcome in spite of what I do and don't support you. And you come to work there, right? It's a little bit like Bill Gates when he started Microsoft. I am sure that he went around to all the university placement offices and said, listen, I'm going to start this software company, and I want to talk to your computer people. And who I'd like to talk to are the people who are willing to work for the least money. And if they happen to be, you know, someone I don't need, well, that's okay, because I'm doing what? It's cheap. That doesn't make any sense. It's just chasing rainbows. Okay, what about the future? Right? The district's future, which you could read if it were up there, is dependent upon what the district policymakers are committed to do to ensure that the right amount of money, and that's the problem in West Bloomfield. It's not about the money they have, it's how they use it. The right amount of money is distributed equitably. First place is it gets as close to the kid as it can get, and it's distributed so it impacts what? All students walking through the door. Athletics are wonderful. I support them. I have a kid who is a very good golfer, but that doesn't mean that he gets more money put on his place, spent on him than the other 10 kids who walk through the door with him every morning who don't play golf. And we have to make sure that that is true. Used productively. When you see that bouncing around of staffing and no relationship to enrollment, that you're not using money productively. You're wasting money. It's what's called sunk cost, because your staffing model is, oh gosh, I didn't know that. How many people we have in the building? And of course, that's 2 days after the school day started. So, that's not productive. And accounted for meaningfully. The questions I ask about the connection between core strategies and outcomes and money should be transparent. That's what the school board should be reporting on. You should be able to say, well, no, I understand what their core strategies are, and I understand what the outcomes are they're looking for, and I understand how they spend their money to get there. That's what a school budget should look like, incidentally. Not one page that says, oh my God, we're going broke. What are you going to do about it? There's a couple of steps we can take to get there. The first one is determine how focused general fund revenues are on student learning. Don't you think that's kind of important? Well, here's a fundamental decision that the school board has to make. Paint or kids? This is the cumulative non-educational expenditures, okay, from the general fund. That's the blue bars. The red bars is the cumulative shortage of revenues committed to instruction. You see anything unusual about that graph? It should be flipped upside down, shouldn't it? That's the key problem that West Bloomfield has. They're taking money out of instruction to spend it on non-instructional programming. And that non-instructional programming expenditures is what is causing them to be $1 million in the hole. It's not a system that works well. That graph needs to be turned upside down, and the school board needs to make a conscious decision to do what? To turn it upside down. That's their responsibility. This Eric Hanachek, a pretty conservative guy, but this was reported in Brookings. In the simplest terms, funds devoted to schools should be put to their best possible use. If a program does not improve student performance, do not fund it. So these chairs are pretty, but if I have to decide to buy this chair over providing something for a kid, what do? I provide it for the kid, because this chair is not going to improve learning. It'll be pleasant to my eyes, but that's it. Step 2, determine if resources are being spent in a manner that will attract, retain, and reward quality educators. That is the second most important responsibility that the district has, because it leads to their first one, which is promoting quality education for kids. That should be a single focus.